Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Krista, and around here we talk all things retirement, legacy, and how to make sure your money decisions protect the people you love and your peace of mind. Today's video might be the most important one I've ever made because it's not just about what you do with your money, it's about how you talk about it with the people who matter the most. We're covering how to talk to your family about money before it's too late, before someone passes, before confusion sets in, and before relationships fall apart. So here's why we avoid this conversation and why that's a problem. Let's be real, talking about money is very uncomfortable. Adding emotions, inheritances, family history, divorce, remarriages, it gets even harder. But here's the thing, the conversation you avoid now could become the argument they never recover from. If your family doesn't know your financial picture, your wishes, or how your estate is set up, they're left guessing. And that leads to confusion, resentment, and in many cases, full blown family breakdowns. Start with listening, not lecturing. When people think about the money talk, they imagine it's all about giving a speech. But the most powerful way to start is by asking questions. Questions like, what worries you the most about the future? How would you feel if you were left out of the decisions? What kind of legacy do you think we should leave? When you listen first, you open the door to trust, and trust is what makes the rest of the conversation actually land. So, what to actually talk about and when to keep it simple. Now, you don't need to break down spreadsheets or account balances right away. This isn't a board meeting. But here are a few things your family should know. One, if you have a will or trust and who's in charge, where your key documents are stored, any final wishes or values you want honored, general information about debts, insurance, and investments, and what not to fight about, like your wedding ring or the vacation cabin. You don't have to give them all the numbers, but they should know the basics, especially if someone is going to be a caregiver, executor, or decision maker. Tailor the talk to the family you've got, not the one you wish you had. If you've gotten a perfect Hallmark family, amazing. But most people don't. So tailor the talk to your reality. Have stepkids, tell them what to expect. Sibling rivalry, be crystal clear in your will and your words. Estranged relatives, don't just exclude them silently. Explain your choices to avoid shock. If you think avoiding conflict now means peace later, it doesn't. It just delays it. And by then, you won't be around to clear anything up. Be transparent, but use boundaries. Transparency doesn't mean giving up your privacy. You can share enough to prevent confusion without giving away your autonomy. Say something like this: I want to let you know that things are in order, and I've made decisions based on what I believe is fair and thoughtful. If you have any questions, I'm happy to explain while I'm here to do that. That one sentence can prevent years of resentment later. Be open but firm. It's your legacy after all. Don't wait for a crisis. I can't tell you how many families try to have this conversation after a diagnosis, in the hospital, or at a funeral home. By then, it's way too late. Emotions are high, stress is sky high, people aren't thinking clearly, and the person who should have explained everything isn't in the room anymore. Start early. Do it over coffee, a quiet Sunday, a holiday, before the wine starts flowing. Here are some tools that can help. Sometimes the best way to start the conversation is to let the documents speak for themselves. First, the will. Let's talk about the most obvious tool, the will. A will is essentially the document that outlines your wishes for how your assets and property will be divided after your death. It's where you specify who gets what, who will manage your estate, and who will take care of your dependents. But a lot of people don't realize that a will can also help guide your family emotionally. It can give them peace of mind because they'll know exactly what your wishes are. If you don't have a will, your family will have to go through the interstate process, which means the state will decide who gets what. And trust me, that can cause confusion and serious family conflicts. The trust. Now, a will is essential, but depending on your situation, you may also want to consider a trust. Trusts are often used to avoid the probate process, which is time-consuming and very expensive. They allow your assets to be passed on quickly and privately without going through the court system. There are different types of trusts, but the most common one is the revocable living trust. This allows you to manage your assets while you're alive, and after your death, the assets go directly to your beneficiaries without court intervention. One major benefit of a trust is that it can help prevent disputes, especially in families that are complicated. If your family members know the assets are already assigned and there's no ambiguity, it can avoid a lot of the arguments that arise after someone passes. Third, a letter of intent. Next, let's talk about the letter of intent. This is not a legal document, but it's a really powerful tool to communicate your wishes to your family. Think of it as a personal letter that explains why you made certain decisions in your will or trust, or even about your values and beliefs. While it's not legally binding, it can clear up confusion and emotionally prepare your family for what's to come. And honestly, it's the kind of document that shows you cared enough to give some clarity and thoughtfulness. A lot of times, we focus so much on what happens to our material possessions when we're gone that we forget about healthcare decisions while we're still here. Healthcare proxy is a person who will make medical decisions on your behalf if you can't make them yourself. Durable power of attorney, the person who will make financial decisions on your behalf if you're unable to. These documents are absolutely essential if you want to make sure your medical and financial decisions are handled according to your wishes. Without them, your family could be left scrambling, or worse, fighting over who gets to make the decisions. Just like your estate plan, it's better to talk about this before a medical emergency happens. What if your family gets defensive? Some people will push back. Why are you talking about this now? Are you dying? Don't you trust me? Stay grounded. Remind them this isn't about fear, it's about responsibility. Here's a script you can use. This is about love, about making things easier when the time comes. So none of you have to carry confusion or guilt or wonder what I would have done. So I know I've talked a lot about wills, accounts, and logistics, but this conversation is also about something deeper, your values. Maybe your goal is to protect your spouse. Maybe it's making sure the family cabin stays in the family. Or maybe you just want your kids to know you were thinking of them clearly and lovingly, even after you're gone. I know this conversation can feel very heavy, but the truth is, it's one of the most loving things you can do to prepare, to communicate, to make things clear. If this video gave you something to think about, do me a favor, give it a like, and share it with someone you care about. Let's normalize having these conversations before they become crises. Don't wait for someday. Talk to your family about money before it's too late. Once again, I'm Krista, and I'll see you in the next one.